Welcome back to the EchoVideo podcast. I'm your host, Hunter Tapu. Joining me as always is Bart. Bart, how's it going?
Hey Hunter, thanks for having me again. Glad to be here as always. It's going all right. Oh fuck, I forgot. How are we addressing the last episode? Because I was going to talk about the house, but I keep forgetting that nobody actually
No,
heard
it's
about that.
fine. We'll just keep this all in. I don't really. Yeah, so what happened last
Fair
week
enough.
was with the peanut butter solution episode, we recorded and it went pretty good. And
Our best,
then
yeah.
I would say it was a pretty good episode, yeah. And then unfortunately, there was Murphy's Law. We forgot to record or audio. I don't know what happened. Anyways, we lost the audio track, so that episode is lost.
Forever.
Unfortunately, yeah. So hopefully, eventually, we will cover it. The only reason we're not covering it this week is because I saw that movie about 6 or 7 times.
Yeah, 8 was too many times.
Yeah, and now we're just kind of going on to what we would watch the week after Peanut Butter Solution, which was My Friend Dahmer, which was Bart's selection from last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we've been cursed or something because we
Yeah,
tried
you might.
we we tried recording that twice and the audio got messed up again. So I don't know if one of us has done something to an Indian burial ground
To
or some
upset some
kind of
people.
upset some kind of sacrificial lamb. So we're trying to get out of this bad luck streak. So hopefully today this is the redemption arc, the
Yeah.
bad luck ending episode or something. So anyways, Bart, this is your film. I'm gonna let you introduce it and then we can get into the discussion.
Yeah, third time's the charm. Well, that
Yeah.
explains why we have a little 2 week window there. But we're gonna get back to you today. Yeah, so I chose to talk about My Friend Dahmer. So I was initially introduced to My Friend Dahmer, the book, the comic book in 2016, I think, which is perfect because the movie was planned to be adapted for 2017. So I read it, really liked it, really amped for the movie, and then for the next half a decade, I just nothing lined up where I was able to watch it. So I finally got to it just last week, and after much anticipation and much hype and much excitement, it was all right. It was it was a
It was
bit
like it was the most like mediocre 5 out of 5, like 5 out of 10, just straight on the middle. It didn't do anything unique, but it
yeah.
also didn't do anything bad. Like it was some parts were good, other parts were bad, but it just kind of all leveled out to this perfect straight line of a movie, in my
hmm
opinion. Like,
I agree. It wasn't too adventurous, I feel, and this movie I feel like should have been more adventurous, given especially the subject matter and the source material too, because one of the things that did stand out to me was the acting. Ross Lynch did a great job, and given that he's from Disney, has origins in Disney, that is pretty surprising. Um,
that's one
because
of
just
the that's one of the best parts of the movie, in my opinion,
yeah,
is casting like a Disney star or as the role of Dahmer, because I remember how I was familiarized with this movie is a friend from college like reached out to me and said, well, not to me, but just said she was interested in the movie because of Ross Lynch. And she was like, oh, I loved him in the Disney show and I love his music and stuff, so I really want to see this movie. And then I would imagine if she went to see it and saw the Disney star whacking off to a dead body, that would have a bit more of an impact than it would be if this was like some other celebrity. So that was a pretty clever casting, in my opinion.
yeah, I agree, and he's great in the role. And given that he just came off of the Teen Beach Movie, which is Disney's second highest grossing live action film since um, what was it, High School Musical, at least back then. So going from that and taking a few years break into My Friend Dahmer is bold, I say bold, but it was really well done, and I really liked him. The supporting cast is also not bad, not a whole lot of standout aside from Alex Wolff, who played Durf Backderf, who is the comic book writer and who grew up with Jeffrey Dahmer. And he's played well, but I think that both characters lack a bit because the movie isn't sure which one's the main character, I think.
Y- I agree with that. And the thing with Alex Wolff is, I mean, I like him as an actor, and I think he's had some pretty good roles, especially in the last couple of years. But I find that he just plays the same character. Like he's not really like acting outside of the characters that he plays. Like he usually plays the same kind of character, which I mean is fine. And I guess he is more of a more modern actor. Now I think about it, like
Hmm.
when was the
Was it Hereditary that like was his
Her-
big break?
Hereditary? I would think that's where I have seen him
Yeah,
from, but I like this movie's way before Hereditary. So
yeah.
I but yeah, he's getting a lot more work recently, like with Pig and Old. M Night Shyamalan's Old, and I mean he's a good actor, but I just would like to see him act as a different character in my opinion. But
Right. Yeah, I get that.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, I know what you mean about the movie. I think that's where the movie struggled mainly was not having a main character, and it definitely kind of like it just needed to pick one because at certain scenes it did kind of swap narrative where you were kind of with Alex Wolff's character and he was the main character, and then you were kind of following him, and then it would swap back to Jeffrey Dahmer, and now all of a sudden you're following him, right? And it just kind of got confusing in my opinion, or not really confusing, but just you didn't really get a chance to kind of flush out either character to the fullest potential.
Hmm. Yeah, I totally get what you mean there. And that's one of the things in the comics I like that they did a lot better because they kept Dirk wrote himself to be like he's an active dialogue with Jeffrey when he's actually with Jeffrey, but when he's not with Jeffrey, it goes into like an analytical third person omnipresent where it just kind of describes what Jeffrey was doing, uh, basically just integrating data that they found after the murders into what his day to day would have been like. So there's a bit more freedom there that I like. And one of the things that, as much as I like Ross Lynch as Dahmer in the comics, it's the kid is 16. So in the comics, he's actually drawn as a 16-year-old. So the things he does are a lot more repulsive, I suppose. Like it's like in It, when they have all the kids and everything's scary and terrifying because they're children, and then in It too, you have all these adults that are falling for like the same scares. So it's a little bit less exciting for the audience, and it takes away some of the creepiness and the thrill. Although he did play Dahmer really well.
No, yeah, I agree. Dahmer was looking a bit older than a 16-year-old in the movie.
A few years. Yeah, at least he was like 22. He wasn't like a 45-year-old man. It's like,
Yeah, like
what up, my fellow kids?
what was the Harry Potter movie? Was that, I think that was Goblet of Fire, where it was like a 40-year-old man. Harry Potter was like 40 years old. Like he was like, it's like, oh man, you're not 14. That's like
That's not the right area.
that they do a joke about that in the Epic movie, which is the only joke I
Mm.
laughed at in that entire movie.
Oh man, I
Where
actually rewatched those just a few months ago. Terrible idea.
oh dude, Epic movie's so bad, but the one part I really really like was when they go to the Harry Potter movie, like the Harry Potter part, and he's like a fucking 50-year-old man, and he's like, "Oh man, who are you?" He's like, "I am only 14," or something like that. That got a good laugh out of me, and then I was like, "Oh man, is this movie funny?" No, it
No, it,
wasn't.
it, it wasn't. It wasn't.
It was
The,
far from funny.
yeah, I watched the Hangover games, which is like the spoof between the Hunger Games and the Hangover, which is like the only half decent one I think that we actually had a good chuckle at because we tried like the This Is Sparta and then the
Oh,
Epic movie and Disaster movie too, and
isn't
they
it
it was
isn't it Meet the Spartans?
that's
Meet the
it. Yeah,
Spartans.
we thought we were gonna have another like pretty fun like Hangover games. No, the whole room, the whole hour and 20 minutes, it was silent in that room. Not one person laughed.
Those parody movies are so brutal. I think the only one that gets a good laugh out of me is Scary Movie, the first Scary
Mm,
Movie, but even that one's pushing it a bit. There's some stuff in that I
yeah.
just kind of roll my eyes at and go, "Oh my god."
I remember this vividly. In grade 9, for context sake, Hunter and I met in grade 9 math class, our first semester of high school. And we were sitting together, and Hunter was big into movies, I was big into movies, but I was really opposed to seeing horror movies because they always just, especially body horror, it just got to me. So he recommended I see Saw because it's just, a cornerstone of great horror. And me being a bit of a scaredy cat, I instead watched Scary Movie 2, I think it was.
It's scary movie. It's scary movie 4
Oh,
because
it's 4. Okay.
I remember we were talking about the traps, and
Mm.
then you were like,
To
"Isn't there
shoot a
one? Isn't
basketball.
there one where a guy's got to shoot a basket or something?" And I was like, because I had seen fucking Scary Movie 4 too, and I was like, I don't think so. I was like, what are you talking about? And then I was like, you totally didn't watch it. You watched Scary Movie 4, saw the scene with Shaq and Dr. Phil, and assumed it was in the movie.
What do you mean, man? He has to shoot a perfect three-pointer in order to get the bracelet released from his legs. That's how it happened.
Dude, that
Yeah.
fucking, that made me
Oh,
laugh.
that was a good time. It's a good foundation
It was a good
for our friendship.
foundation. I mean,
Uh,
a little bit back to
oh
My
yeah.
Friend Dahmer. I mean, I don't really have too many notes on it. I only really watched it once. It wasn't kind of a movie I was dying to see more than once. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I do think it is good. It's definitely got a certain type of audience though.
Yeah.
So I think if you have an interest in it, maybe check it out. Maybe it'll be for you. For me personally, I didn't fully find it. I didn't really like it that much, but
Mm.
uh, still check it out in my opinion.
Yeah. I liked one of the standout scenes for me was when Dirk, so Alex Wolf's character, was with Dahmer in the car near the end of the movie, in like the last 20-ish minutes. Because I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, the camera was like confined to the inside of the car the whole time, so like stress
Yeah.
was building up a little bit, and you got to see more of Dahmer's like manipulative qualities that he used with
Yeah.
the VP and getting the girl to go to prom with him. And they kind of
Yeah.
just ran with it. They didn't cut away too fast. It was a nice like 10-minute scene, and I
Yeah,
thought that was really well done. It had some care to it.
that was pretty good. That was a pretty good scene. Yeah, I agree with that. Nice tension and stuff.
Hmm.
The standout scene for me, and it was kind of the one scene where I was kind of white knuckling and like unsure of what would happen, was the scene with the dog where he's lured where he's got the dog by the
Oh yeah.
collar and dragging it back into the woods, and I was like, oh, he's not gonna kill it, is he? And I was just kind of like, oh, is he gonna do it? And I wasn't sure if he would or not, and
Hmm.
he doesn't end up doing it, but the whole time I was just kind of sitting there white knuckling like, oh, like
Yeah.
just freaking like, oh my god. But
Yeah, because there's already been
that
like a
was
pretty well-established precedent of him being comfortable killing animals, and we know what
yeah.
he's going to grow up to do. So the whole time you're like, he
Mhm.
might do it. So you're not quite sure. That
Yeah.
was well done. I agree.
That was a pretty good scene. Or the scene with the fish where he pulls it out of the water and they're all just
Oh
looking
yeah,
at it and without hesitation just knifes it apart, and they're just kind of
yeah.
like, "Dude, come on. Oh, why'd you do that?"
Dude, why did you just shank this fish 4 times? That's so not cool. The one though, the one that supersedes it all, the scene with the squirrel really gets me because it's phenomenal. So he puts up like a little trap, like a little stick under a big boulder, and then pulls the stick away when the squirrel's underneath it. Um, but when they film it all separately. So him setting up the trap and then the squirrel moving is very clearly stock footage because it's super like zoomed in, and he's just kind of moving through the grass. But it never like you never see Dahmer and the squirrel in the same frame.
Yeah.
And then when he pulls the string, the squirrel just dies like off screen, and you just hear like this little yelp,
You just
and
hear the
it's
noise. Okay,
yeah,
I don't think I even noticed that. I'll have to rewatch it to see, but I definitely, I do remember the squirrel scene, but I watched it really late at night, so
yeah. Maybe it wasn't stock footage. Maybe it
it
was just
it
shot like
it
stock footage,
very
but I
well
think
could
it
be.
might have been.
It very well could have been.
They just couldn't find the squirrel. Fair enough.
So the last question, I mean, the best part about this movie, and it kind of segues into my next question, but my favorite part about this movie is it kind of makes you think, who when you like growing up in high school and public school and you think back on your friends that you grew up with, you kind of have to
Mm.
learn and think, I wonder which one of my friends or which one of the kids I knew in school turned out to be a criminal or a serial killer or a kidnapper. There was a couple
Fair.
kids that I had in mind watching this movie, just kind of like,
Yeah, there were a few
he,
little
he,
little reminders, little lights that went off. It was like,
yeah.
I should text this guy.
No, you should text them. You should stay far away from
Stay
them.
far away or befriend them before he can make a move.
Yeah, yeah. That was the one kid in history class, man. He was in my gym class.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is the Hunter word of truth. This is an actual story that happened.
This is
And
a
I
direct
remember,
quote.
so we had this kid he was in history class and he was in my gym class, and he was kind of like a scary, not really scary, but kind of looks like this angsty teen that sat in the corner. He was
Yeah,
kind of
very
weird,
angsty.
definitely like no one really openly picked on him, it looked like, but people just kind of stayed away from him. And I remember I always talked to him in gym and stuff, and I was just kind of like shooting the shit with him, being nice. And one day I went into the change room and I was just getting changed, and he looks at me and he goes, if you had a couple assault rifles, you could take over the school pretty easily. And I just looked at him and went, please don't ever talk to me again. And I
That was the
left.
last time.
I did not tell anybody that. I probably should have. I just kind of went, I think I've been nice enough that he would warn me, but I don't know. I am very
That was the
uncomfortable.
warning. That was the warning.
That was the warning, dude. That was the most uncomfortable I've
Oh
ever
my
been. I
goodness.
remember I was like so scared whenever he didn't show up to school. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah. You're like, uh-oh. Should I have stayed home too?
Yeah. Oh my God,
Oh
dude.
jeez.
It was
Oh man.
frightening.
Do you remember when we were all like assigned to a project with him, that history project? And we were all working on that presentation, and we were all everybody had like a designated like 4 slides or something,
Yeah.
and
And then,
like joined late or something.
okay,
Oh,
I'll bleep that out. Hold on.
yeah.
What was the time of that?
Fuck.
Okay,
Oh man.
around 19 minutes.
Do cut it, bleep it? Bleep
I
it
will.
right before I say
I'm
it.
gonna keep
Bleep it
all
before.
this. I'm gonna keep
Okay.
all this, but I'm gonna bleep his name out because
Yeah.
he just blatantly dropped his name.
Son of a bitch.
He's gonna kill us now. This is the bad
So
luck
this,
streak.
this unknown vigilante was in a history project with us. And like I said, we all had our assigned tasks, and it was getting close to the day of presentations. Firstly, Hunter and I were at the front of the class. He just didn't show up, which
Yeah,
is great.
he didn't show up for the presentation.
He just was not there. And
It
then
was
when we
just the
started
two
going
of
through the
us.
presentation, we were like warming up for it a little bit. He put in 1 slide, and it was like
Yeah.
20 Wikipedia links, and that was
Yeah,
it.
it was one slide full of Wikipedia links, and I think it had like one paragraph or one sentence, and it was
Yeah,
just like
it was copied and
it was,
pasted
well, no,
directly.
it was just like literally, please stand up and participate in the mock trial. That's all he wrote. It's like, what the fuck? You did nothing.
It was literally
But
more of a burden. But you got to be nice,
oh yeah,
just
yeah,
because that backpack, you
yep.
just
You
don't know
never
what's in
know.
there
You
sometimes.
don't know what's in the clown bag he brought.
Yeah,
But
it's anyone's guess. Sheesh, though.
dude,
Back to the movie. Um, a little fun fact I found while doing a little bit of a Reddit deep dive is that they filmed the movie, which is actually really cool, given that the budget was relatively small and that their outreach was probably pretty limited too. They shot the film in Jeffrey Dahmer's old house where he grew up with his parents, which is pretty surreal. But then, unfortunately, the school declined, which, yeah, fair enough. But it's still very cool that they got the actual house.
yeah, that's pretty cool how they actually were able to film in his actual like childhood home. That's pretty cool. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to think of what other kind of standout scenes. I really got not a lot to say about this movie. I mean, it was just like I said, just kind of a straight arrow of a movie. It wasn't
Yeah,
offensive.
it wasn't too ambitious.
It wasn't super ambitious. It wasn't like super offensive. It was just kind of a movie.
Yeah, even the way it
Uh,
was shot, it was all kind of still. And in the
Yeah,
unrecorded version of this, I
that
said
was
that maybe that was due to it being like so normal for Dahmer, everything's stale, he's just killing these things, no problem, but it's weird
yeah.
for us. But I don't know if that's really a worthy justification.
Yeah, no, it very well could be, but I just don't think it was. I think it was just kind of shot the way it was, maybe budgetary reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to be too negative on the movie because I did enjoy it. I won't lie. I didn't like at no point think this movie's so boring. Like I enjoyed it A to B, beginning to end. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I just think it wasn't as ambitious as other movies I've seen or other movies in the genre, kind of. But
Mm-hmm.
um, that's kind of my closing opinions on the movie. I don't know if you got anything else to say.
Um, I have some, like just a little. So it's okay. The movie ends not quite ambiguously because you know exactly what's going to happen. But if you didn't know what was going to happen, then it ends ambiguously. He picks up, Dahmer picks up a hitchhiker on the side of the street named Stephen Hicks, or side of the road, after he's come back from a concert, and then they drive off into the blue sky, but less romantic at the end of the film. But what happens after that, and this is Dahmer's first kill, is wildly disturbing. So keep in mind, I'll just run through it. He's 17, I believe, 17. Also, yeah, I am not a professional in any sense of the word, so this is just a Wikipedia run through. So the day before Father's Day, Stephen Hicks goes to a concert, and on the way back from the concert, because he promised his dad he'd be there for Father's Day for the dinner, the next day he's hitchhiking on the road, and unfortunately, Jeffrey Dahmer picks him up. Dahmer then, through some manipulative schemes, convinces Stephen to go to his house for about 2 hours, and then they have a few beers. But then, when Stephen Hicks requests to leave, Dahmer hits him over the back of the head with a baseball bat, killing him instantly. That he then leaves Stephen there for a day, and the next day masturbates over his body. Unfortunate. And then remembering
Ooh.
that his, yeah, um, yeah, maybe I should be a little bit more sensitive. Maybe I shouldn't say unfortunate, but you get the gist. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
remembering, yeah, and then remembering that his mom is coming home, he grabs a kitchen knife and dismembers the body and stashes it in the drain pipe that's used for like the water residue from seasonal, I don't know, water residue.
Yeah.
Um, but then in the spring and the summer, the body is obviously beginning to reek, so he's getting a bit nervous, not sure what to do with it, because this has also been affecting his like public life, social life, his life at school.
Yeah.
People are
Yeah.
taking interest in him, counselors and whatnot, and he admits verbatim to a psychologist, an FBI psychologist, that if he had a body, he'd ditch it 10 miles away at this ravine just outside of Bath Road, which is, well, like I said, like 10 miles outside bordering the town. So that's already concerning.
Yeah.
So they have like an API out on him. They're looking for him. So he's trying to get rid of the body, and he goes to that exact same location where the child psychologist told him, or where he told the child psychologist he was going to go. But then on the way there, because he was quite the alcoholic and drive or drinking quite often, he was pulled over. But this was like the one time that he wasn't drinking, so they let him go.
Yeah.
Then he got spooked, turned back around, pushed the body back in the drainage, let it sit for another week or two until it was really
At
starting
this
to like
at that
reek.
point, that fucking bitch is stinking.
Yeah, that is just,
That's reeking, so
you gotta get some Febreze for that. So he strips the flesh and the skin off the bones and puts it in
ooh.
garbage bags and like disposes of those just by the garbage because they're a lot
Yeah.
less noticeable than like full limbs.
Yeah.
And then he takes the bones out to the backyard and just takes a sledgehammer and crushes them into like a
Ooh.
powder. Yeah, and he's 17. So
Yeah,
that
that's a
was left in
bit.
the annotations by Durf in the comic book. Rough.
Yeah, and reminder, we're not professionals. I would highly recommend if you are interested in Dahmer, there's plenty of good documentaries out there to watch.
Hmm.
Just kind of just looking at the IMDb page, the movie was met with controversy about making Dahmer like making him more relatable, or kind of making him human or sympathetic. That's the word I'm thinking of. So people were
Mm.
kind of complaining, and the filmmaker responded with, that was the point, was to kind of show you, because, and that like was to make him sympathetic because that's how the media kind of portrayed him, which kind of reminds me of the movie Natural Born Killers. I think that Oliver Stone's
Mm.
Natural Born Killers, which
Yeah.
we definitely should cover at one point,
Mm-hmm.
because that's kind of the same premise, where it's also about the media covering serial killers in a sympathetic light, or kind of like they're kind of covering them in a way to make them look like celebrities, and then it goes all to their heads, so they keep trying to one up themselves from the last time. That's an interesting movie. We should definitely cover at one point, but just kind of an interesting a dot I
Mm-hmm.
connected.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited to talk about natural born killers. It's weird that people kind of just attack immediately Dahmer, or like the movie trying to kind of make him more sympathetic,
Yeah.
which obviously he isn't sympathetic, but I think it's more so addressing the issues along the way that allowed him to kind of
Yeah, it was
grow
kind
into
of
this killer, right? So it's weird
yeah,
that
it
they.
was kind of more so it was kind of more so showing you like he was a normal kind of, like more of a like a person you would kind of see every day, but then you kind of look into his past, and things just start to escalate and escalate and escalate until eventually it's, way out of fucking control, and he's melting
Mhm.
down fucking dogs in a vat of acid.
Yeah, not
So
great.
not the best. So just because we kind of forgot the first segment, but has there been anything you would recommend to the audience? Anything else you've been watching in the week, or?
Oh geez, yeah. So two things. One I've been watching, one that just kind of caught my eye, my interest. Sandman came out last Friday. I watched the
Oh
first
yeah,
4 episodes.
is it any
Very
good?
big fan. Yeah, I like it a lot so far. I'm very
Yeah,
happy with it.
that's
You can
good.
tell they really had a lot of passion for the project. So I'm excited
That's
about
good.
that. And then Christopher McQuarrie, who's been working with Tom Cruise since I believe Ghost Protocol, has announced 3 new projects with Tom Cruise. One, an original dance and song musical. One, original action franchise, like a Tom Clancy kind of thing, or that wouldn't be original. Something in that vein, but not Tom
Yeah, but
Clancy.
like, yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
That'd be kind of cool to see.
yeah, and then
I personally think Tom Cruise gets a bit of a bad rap, and it's 100% because of Scientology. But I
he
like
did it
Tom
to
Cruise,
himself.
man. I liked the new Top Gun Maverick. I think that was one of the best movies of the year, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I still gotta watch
Like,
that.
I would recommend it. It was so fun to watch. I'm not even kidding. If they put a booth outside to sign up for the military, I would have signed up. I would have 100% signed up the second I left that theater.
Enlistment
That's
percentages skyrocket.
yeah, yeah, for sure. That's what happened to after the first one. I'm pretty sure the Air Force got like a ton of applications because of
Oh,
the first one.
probably. I would not even be surprised.
That
That
and
movie's sick
Ray
though.
Bans, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and sorry. Then the last one is kind of a whack one. You've seen Tropic Thunder, right? You know Tom Cruise's
Oh
character,
yeah, yeah.
Les Grossman. He's making like
A Les
a project
Grossman
that
prequel.
includes the character of Les Grossman,
uh,
which is incredible. So potential Tropic Thunder soft sequel. I don't know.
Prequel, yeah. That'd be kind of fun to
Spin-off
see.
series. Yeah.
That'd be
So
kind of fun.
pretty
Uh,
exciting news there.
yeah, I haven't been up to too much. I started a new book, but I absolutely hate it, and I don't really
Yikes.
want to name drop it just yet. I want to finish it before I fully form my opinion, but I do not like it. It's very boring. It's very very convoluted. I mean, you know what? I don't really care. It's Meddling Kids. I can't remember the author's name. It's called Meddling Kids. I thought it was a Scooby Doo homage, but it's more like just this guy that was probably bullied in high school and is now writing out all his frustrations on everyone in this book.
Oh, it's almost
Uh,
the opposite of
yeah,
Scooby-Doo.
I'm about a little bit halfway through, and I don't really like it. It's very, very boring. None of the characters are very interesting. They're all just kind of, I don't know. Maybe it'll change in the last couple pages, like the last little bit, but I
Hmm.
am not the biggest fan of it. So I'm very
Darn.
disappointed by that. Because, like, well, I went to the bookstore and I asked the lady, I said, do you have, like, which horror novels do you have? And then she went on a escapade around the bookstore, finding every single book that may have had horror or scary elements,
Just a
and she
single
handed
drop of
me,
blood.
and the book cover looked cool, and she's like, "Oh, this is kind of like Stranger Things meets Scooby-Doo," and I was like, "That sounds awesome," and it looked like from the back, it sounded like it might have been a little bit of H.P. Lovecraft. I should have
Mm.
probably read the first couple pages, but I didn't. I just kind of bought it, and I'm very upset by it. So,
Oof.
very disappointed by it. It's not very good.
Oh, that is
So,
unfortunate. You hate to, are you gonna finish it? Are you gonna see it out or
I
what?
have to finish it, man.
You
But
have
this is
to.
the
It's a
second
matter
book.
of principle.
So, I don't know the author's name, but it is by the same publishing company, Blumhouse Books. Like, the
Oh,
Blumhouse has their
really?
own publishing. Yeah, and I've read 2 of their books, counting this one. So, the other one I read last year for Christmas was Hark the Herald Angels Scream, which was about a
Mm.
bunch of Christmas themed short stories. There was maybe 3 of them that I liked. One of them was not Christmas related at all. This was not a,
Easter.
it was like, well, it wasn't even holiday related. It was like, I think the kid got the toy for his birth for like Christmas, and that was it. Then it just moved on to the later dates, and I was like, what?
It's a random Saturday in June.
Yeah. It was so weird, man. It wasn't, it was like some of the short stories were good, and I honestly can't remember it. I may have also been burnt out from reading because I honestly didn't absorb any of it. I was just on like autopilot reading it. And that could have been either the book was so bad I went into autopilot reading it, or I was just burnt out from the end of the year kind of deal. But I definitely didn't really enjoy it. So Blumhouse Publishing's kind of dropped the ball for me a couple times.
Yikes.
Maybe
Zero
they'll
two.
maybe they'll release another book and I'll pick it up and I
Maybe.
can talk all of the praise that I have for it, but as of now, I have no praise for them.
I hope
Unfortunately.
that comes.
Hope me too, cuz I like Blumhouse Productions. I think they have some pretty decent movies.
Mm.
So I'd like to see some good books coming out of their publishing company. Their
Yeah, they're pretty
publishing
cool. I had no idea they had like a book publishing thing.
I honestly think it's real recent cuz I've only seen 2 books from the
Oh, I
company.
see. Okay.
So,
Huh.
I
Let's
don't
keep
know,
an eye
mate.
out for them. Well, there you go, horror fans.
There you go. Don't
Blumhouse
don't
isn't
assume.
writing.
So far, don't check
Skip
out
the
Meddling
first.
Kids.
Skip the
Skip the
first two
first 2.
books. Skip the
No,
only
it's
two
just not for
books.
me. I
Yeah.
mean, other people. It's probably not for me. Other people might enjoy it, but we'll have to wait and see, kind of deal.
That's fair.
Um, yeah. Other than that, I haven't really watched a lot of stuff, and yeah, I haven't really been doing a lot. Just been kind of watching My Friend Dahmer was the most recent one, so I got nothing to really recommend this.
Peanut butter solution 8
Yeah,
times.
peanut butter solution. That's what I'll recommend. So hopefully, eventually, we'll get to it. We're not going to get to it next week. We got something planned already for next week.
Something special.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have really not a lot else to say.
Well,
And
we
if
can
we just
just.
want to wrap now, or if you had something else you kind of wanted to touch on.
No, I'm happy to get into next week's shenanigans. Shall we let our audience know?
Yeah, for sure. So next week, again, this would have been more relevant. Well, I guess it's still kind of relevant, but we're talking about the movie Prey, recently released on Disney Plus and Hulu for, I guess, our U.S. and Canadian audiences. Prey is the most recent Predator sequel, requel, like whatever you want to call it, the new Predator movie.
Mm,
And I've only seen one trailer, and it looked real promising.
yeah,
And I have a lot of high hopes for it. And I've heard pretty decent things. I'm trying to stick away from reviews and everything. I've seen
me too.
a lot of praise for it. So I'm really hoping it turns out. I'm a huge Predator fan. I'm pretty sure you are too.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've been rereading a lot of the Dark Horse comics. So
I don't know the character's name, but I know there are like female. There are 2 or like there's a couple of female humans a part of like the Predator Brotherhood. I don't know if they're in the comics, so I'm wondering.
mm,
I know that in the I don't know fully it, but I'm wondering if maybe that's what they're hinting at, getting into a franchise type deal, which would be fucking awesome
I'm here for
because
it.
we need a new franchise. I can't do Marvel anymore. I can't do DC. I can't do superheroes. We got to move away from superheroes.
Oh, can you imagine an
Like,
AVP like universe
dude, that'd be
or
sick.
something of that sort? That'd be
That would be
insane.
so sick. AVP we need like another set. Like we have to, if we do another Alien, we have to keep it away from the original two Alien, like
Mm-hmm.
the original run, including Resurrections. I don't include that in the original run, but we got to keep it away from that. Have a whole new storyline and directors, like, because it's such like a vast landscape and stuff. You could do Fire and Stone. Isn't that with Prometheus that connects all three of them?
Mm-hmm.
Prometheus, like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a really cool storyline to see. But
Yeah.
I
Because
think they're
last we had
no,
Covenant last, right?
no, it was Predators. Shane Black's Predators, I thought. Or
Oh
am
yeah, but
I?
for Aliens,
Yeah,
the
Covenant
Covenant,
was
right?
last.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
personally, I liked Covenant. I was apparently told by a lot of people they didn't like Covenant. I personally
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed it. I had low expectations going into it though, and then I saw it and I was like, this is a really cool movie. But I do think it's not the best in the Alien timeline. We need like colonial marines. We need like a good
Yeah.
like colonial marine storyline. So here's hoping for the future of Alien vs Predator. High hopes for Prey,
Yeah,
and
that
we
would be
will be
awesome.
discussing that. I don't know when I'm gonna get this episode out. I'm hopefully gonna have it out this week,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll judge that by year.
Yeah. Sounds good. Well, I'm excited to get to Prey next week. I'm very excited to
Yep.
watch it. High hopes, like Hunter. I've only seen a few trailers,
Yeah.
so
I was
I'm
gonna watch it
excited.
this weekend, but I wanted to record this before I watched it and have my
Yeah.
so
Well,
we'll
hopefully
see.
this
Yeah.
one recorded. That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
that would be cool. Maybe we can break the curse.
Wow.
The poltergeist curse, the Echo
Yeah.
Video curse.
It's because I pushed that small child 3 days ago.
Do you remember, dude? I was thinking about this the other day. Sorry, I'll tell the story and then we'll wrap. Do you remember when we watched
Mm.
that movie? You came over, I think, when we went camping, the failed camping trip, and then we came back to my house and we watched that movie, and there was like the haunted wheelchair up in the stairs, the
Oh yeah,
changeling.
yeah, yeah.
Do you remember?
Magnolia, Changeling. That's it.
The
That's it.
Changeling. Do you remember when
Yeah.
we were watching it and like it's like the climax of the movie and the guy runs down the stairs and the wheelchair's at the top and I was like, ah yes, stairs, the wheelchair's greatest enemy, and it just started rolling down. I was like, oh
Oh
Jesus!
my god.
Like it just flies down the
It's
stairs.
fucking sentient.
Dude, that fucking memory has been living in my head for like the whole time just because I was like so confident the wheelchair wouldn't do
Yeah.
anything and it just
Just when you
flies
thought,
down the stairs. It fucking made me laugh
uh,
so hard.
just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water.
Exactly.
Jesus.
The wheelchair, but with jaws.
Yeah. That's
All
basically
right.
what
I think we should. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Finish what you're saying there.
Oh no, 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 it's all good. I completely. Oh yeah, we were comparing. What were we comparing to? It was Jaws. What was that other movie where something blows up? Oh,
Grizzly.
Grizzly. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how we connected that to
That
Jaws.
was, but we didn't finish that. We talked about that in the previous recording. I didn't recommend it this time. Yeah, so I was
Oh, that's
the
right.
last recording. I recommended a movie called Grizzly, which is a Jaws ripoff, which maybe we'll cover. I'm not sure. I think it's not. It's not like the greatest movie ever made, but it is a fun movie. End of the movie, they blow the bear up with a bazooka, and it caught me off guard and made me laugh. So, check out Grizzly if you can. It's definitely worth it.
Incredible.
So before we tangent off again, I think that's going to do
Yeah.
it for this episode of Echo Video.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we break the curse and this episode gets
Hopefully.
out to everyone. Again, I'm not really too sure when this episode's going to come out, but we hopefully get back to a regular recording,
Back on a good schedule
a
again.
consistent upload schedule again. So anyways, that's going to do it. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode.